I said, give me a hell yeah.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to a McIntyre building non-soap opera Wednesday night warring episode. I know I had to make up a word and I tried to jump right past it. Non-soap opera Wednesday night warring episode of the Brothers of Discussion. We're going to talk everything from the best non-title storyline in WWE. Matt, what could that be? Woo! Woo! Make some time to break down the winner of this week's Wednesday. Not mention Roman Reigns by name. And, Matt, don't do it. Don't say Roman Reigns. Don't say it. And we're also going to make some time for the bizarrely late pushing of WWE superstar recent release, Bud McKenzie, Drake Maverick. Matt, all that and so much more. Another exciting week trapped indoors.
Yay!
Hot and spicy. Matt's unemployed. I'm marginally employed.
We didn't need to go there. Jesus.
We went there. I think we covered it last week. So if you missed last week, Matt is unemployed. The episodes will never be better than they are right now. Matt, we heard your daughter said her first word. Was it Roman Reigns?
She's not allowed to say that right now. So I appreciate respect for.
Okay.
What?
No, Roman Reigns. Shh.
Huge spanking for that one right now.
Don't you say that name right now. All right,
no, she. I think I may have explained it incorrectly. She waves hi. So when I said she says hi, I was thinking. So we go, hi, Eddie, and then she goes. And for the listeners on the podcast, she waves her arm pretty. She doesn't have complete control yet, so it's a pretty wild wave. Yeah. What's great is when she sees herself in a mirror and she starts waving at the other baby, and then the other baby starts waving back, so it's a never-ending just, hi. Hi. No, I met you. Hi. How's it going?
That actually sounds pretty hilarious and adorable. That would be a great video.
Yeah, I can't stop doing it. I walk her around the house. If we're in front of like a TV, she'll notice herself. So it's pretty great.
Well, Matt, we know where we can find adorable stories of little babies. What about if people want to learn about the rest of the Brothers of Discussion and maybe their opinions on professional hockey right now?
Oh, well, everybody, you want to head on over first. Well, what do we want to do? Yeah, head on over to our YouTube channel. It's something we don't talk about too often, but that's where you can find all of our vids of Brothers of Discussion and the Discussion 5. If you go to our website, bodpodcast.com or brothersofdiscussion.com, we have the links right at the top. So you can find our YouTube, you can find our Twitter, which is at BODpodcast. You can find the Facebook. You can find the Instagram, which is at brothers_of_discussion, which also houses our podcast episodes through IGTV. Mike, I did make a friend this week, a friend on the Hockey Podcast Network that maybe subtly hinted that those videos are too long for anybody that's on IGTV. I am taking it as maybe a good suggestion, and we'll continue to see if we can adjust what we're offering on IGTV so it makes a little bit more sense.
Okay.
And what else do we have? Oh, and if you could just subscribe, rate, and review for us at any time. Mike, I'm gonna have you start talking. And I know where I could find it. I'm gonna use my phone because Mike, we got a new review for our podcast, and we neglected to highlight that individual that was so gracious with their time to go to Apple, as we always request. Please go to Apple Podcasts, subscribe, rate, and review. Please go create an account. It really helps us out. But it was Chark16 gave us a 5-star review, and let the world know that it's a podcast that he really enjoys. So Frank 16, thank you so much.
That's for you, man. That shit. That's for you, buddy. Yeah.
We have 5 ratings that are all 5 stars. So everybody out there, get out there if you're listening right now. Head on over to Apple Podcasts. Go to the Brothers of Discussion. Subscribe, rate, and review. Also, it doesn't hurt. Go to the Discussion 5. Give those episodes a listen-a-roo. And, support actually the Brothers of Discussion on a whole. By going to our website, we have a link right at the top bar. If you are in need of some CBD products to help your body kind of relax during these stressful times, we have a link to actually get you buy 2 items, get 1 free at CBD Medic. So I highly encourage everyone who's listening now, if you are a CBD user, we went out of our way to make sure we could get the best deal out there for you. So if you are looking for a good deal and you want to support the show, best way to do it is go to brothersofdiscussion.com or bodpodcast.com. Click the link at the top bar of the website. Hit that. You go straight to your purchasing section. Pick whatever products you need, your CBD products, and you'll get the hookup. It's a company that we like. That's a company that is actually supported by the current 24/7 champion, Rob Gronkowski, also current Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Mike, that was my best way to transition into that. So we are jointly, essentially, Mike, we are partnered with Rob Gronkowski in our efforts to make sure that everyone out there has their CBD products.
Let's do it.
But Mike, you know what? This got trashed by wrestling Twitter. Obviously, football Twitter loves...
Wrestling Twitter had a negative opinion on something. I am astounded.
This is amazing for marketing. Mike, half of the NFL games show up on Fox. SmackDown, also on Fox. Tampa Bay, an NFC team, will be on Fox. This trade for Rob Gronkowski to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is great for Rob. I think now he can...
The timing it's getting a little suspicious. I mean, sure, Tom Brady's on his team, but how do we know Vince McMahon wasn't behind this trade?
I just... Like, everything about it is like, all right, well, now he's an hour away from Orlando. It all just kind of, like, lined up in my head. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then the Fox relationship where SmackDown is going to be like, Fox is going to be so excited to be, like, telling other players on other teams, yeah, go roll him up. And then before the end of the game, Gronk is going to have to roll that guy up to get the title back. And they don't need the title out there. They just have, like, a ref on the sideline who's tapping for 3. The NFL, I'm sure, will love this idea.
I don't know. I mean, this is the no fun league. You're not allowed to do a touchdown celebration unless you're with your friends and it's less than 10 seconds. So maybe if Gronk could get pinned by his buddies inside that 10-second window, we will be so excited to watch football. Not since the days of Chad Johnson will I be tuning in to watch touchdown celebrations. I'll be so excited to watch the NFL Red Zone Network just to see how the 24/7 belt exchanges hands. It'll be great. I hope that there's a lot of steel chairs being, suspiciously near the end zone. I really want to see that. I really want to see the field goal post be used as a weapon. I want to see somebody get a football lodged in the visor of their helmet. There's a lot that we could see, man.
I just want to know that the WWE has already purchased when they can actually attend games, but they've purchased a season ticket package for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they will have other pro wrestlers at these events, at least to say hi, and they'll just follow Gronk around the league. But they have to take advantage of this, and Fox has to at least be saying, like, all right, well, we make money when this show does well, so yeah, let's throw some real sport in there, and let's have this connection with the most watched thing in I don't know what.
I gotta say,
United States.
Man, if you're gonna pose to me a hot take question, and I have to think on my feet and find the most fascinating way to book the 24/7 title, I think Gronk defends it. Week 1, scores a touchdown. Tom Brady comes to give him a big high five, and it becomes the high five of doom. Boom! And Gronk lays down, and Brady becomes the new 24/7 champion. I think that's the most fascinating way to go. You make the face of the National Football League hold up that WWE belt and just cream the pants of all the Fox executives.
I just want to see Tom Brady head out to the ring on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, and how he does like his Saturday Night Live appearances where he just smiles and giggles the whole time. Just have him out there uncontrollably laughing. There's no way that he's like a pro wrestling fan, but I'm sure he appreciates the athleticism in it. So I think he actually, like, if Gronk asked him and he was nice enough about it, I think Tom would cooperate. Tom's a goofball. Did you see the video he reposted?
Oh, the conch shell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was from a few years ago when Gronk made a return. But yeah, that was fantastic.
Well, I mean, I'm excited to see that title get defended. But
look at that hair.
I know, right? Who, me?
Whoa.
Is it going
look
wild?
at that. I got it's going up in the air and all the that one. See the one that looks like a scythe?
You look like Drake Maverick, like 2 minutes into his matches. His hair's always like right after. Yeah, it's all in good shape. I'm gonna Drake Maverick the rest of this episode just for you guys.
Oh, good God, your hair is so long.
Thanks.
Oh my God. Well,
are we still recording?
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Mike, we're not allowed to cut.
Like Drake Maverick or Darby Allin. I don't know. Here we go.
Well, Mike, we're not allowed to cut our hair, but WWE
we're allowed to
superstars,
cut our own hair, it turns out.
Yeah, that's true. But WWE superstars are not allowed to mention Roman Reigns, and you ruined my transition.
Oh.
But no, Matt, you can cut your hair. Oh, okay, thanks. Well, Roman Reigns can't be talked about on WWE programming.
Speaking of haircuts, we're just cutting a little Roman off the top because we're not allowed to say his name anymore. I get it. I mean, it's COVID time. I think he has a legitimate concern since he had leukemia. So
yeah, they're. I think people have this, like, they're taking like the Fightful and Wrestling Inc. who just tweet and blog garbage, just absolute garbage, and take their little stories about Roman.
Not a friend of the show.
Roman has decided to stop showing up, and it's like, well, see, he has leukemia, and that's one of the things that the extra, well, I don't know how do you want to put it? Like, when you already have a pre-existing condition, you're already more susceptible to COVID-19. So no, I doubt that there's this animosity, that there's any sort of anger coming from the WWE. I think what we're honestly seeing here is just, all right, we're not going to talk about Roman Reigns because we don't want to bring up like the reality. We don't want to go, hey, yeah, Roman Reigns isn't here because we have people touching, and that's the other thing you're not supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. So let's not throw a guy with leukemia into the ring. And we also don't remind you that we are kind of breaking the social distancing pact that we've all agreed to. So, yeah, I think that's what's going on. I don't think Roman's in any trouble right now.
Yeah, I think the exact opposite. Sorry, I had to jump out to plug in the old laptop there. I think you'd actually be in trouble if he did try to show up. As far as the public image of WWE, I don't think they want to be the company that not only did they allow touching, they allowed a guy who had, cancer in his body. They don't want to be the company that said, yeah, we're going to let him wrestle. If he got COVID, they would never, ever hear the end of it. For a company that's been losing money, just made a bunch of cuts, their public image went down the toilet with Saudi Arabia and, myriad of different things. I think this is the safest move for them, is to just social distance from Roman for now.
This is also a company that's gotten out of trouble from concussions, steroids. What's when you get the blood and I had it in my head for a second. There's hepatitis, and they came away from it. So I like to think that this was finally them learning their lesson and taking at least one precaution and having the guy with leukemia stay home. All right, Mike, I mean, I feel like, if anything, we're at least
Well,
providing.
the only
We
other
don't know for
note on
sure.
that, Matt, as the marketing correspondent on the Brothers of Discussion, no, you don't want him being mentioned on TV, like character-wise, because wrestling is like the last thing that he wants to do right now, and that anyone wants to see him do, because I don't want him to die. But are you a little surprised that WWE, in their infinite greed, is not using him like in commercials to like wash your hands and stay home?
Well, that's Braun Strowman's job.
Wash these hands.
Yeah.
It's not a big, I don't want you to dwell too much on it, but it did surprise me a little bit just because of the way they use their people, I guess. Use being the key word.
I see where this is going, Mr. NBA fan. I'm just kidding. No, I think what we're saying is our perspective is probably a little bit more realistic. We don't know for sure, but I'd be remiss if we weren't providing the opinion that was not necessarily pro WWE, but more anti. Let's stop making a negative situation out of everything, and be more negative to those shitty Twitter accounts. Yeah, that are giving you information that they have nothing to say is real. They just say our anonymous source. That's why we used to play our old game, whatever it was called. What was it called?
You mean on this show?
Yeah, remember it was. We'd list two truths.
Two truths and a lie.
Two rumors.
Two rumors and a lie. I called it two truths and a lie. Yeah, two real rumors. Well, bottom line is, Matt, I think you and I are both happy that Roman Reigns is being safe. But speaking of safe, somebody is back at the forefront who is the opposite of washing their hands.
A+ transition.
They would break your spine in a turnbuckle. And, Matt, we're talking, of course, about Nia Jax. The one who broke Becky Lynch's face. Matt, I love the note you wrote here. Officially entered by Nia, Bailey, Sasha, Becky, Asuka, Emma, and
you know what? Charlotte's on that list too.
One of the ladies that almost made the list was Kairi Sane from Monday. People talk about, I trust the Undertaker. He's a very safe man. And yeah. I think when we watch his tombstones and you're full, 12 inches from your skull hitting the mat, it always looks very safe. The most dangerous, that's why he's the only one allowed to even do a pile driver in WWE. So everybody's like, he's a very safe man. You and I don't wrestle. Let's get that out there. But it just seems like if we have this many examples, is this people like nitpicking Nia? Or, does it feel like we actually have enough tangible evidence to kind of be like, maybe there is something here and we're, maybe we should adjust who and how she works with others.
Did you listen to the video and hear the other part that people are mad about? Because it sounds like Kairi Sane is yelling, "I'm not set, I'm not set, I'm not set." And I listened to it, and it does sound like she's yelling, "I'm not set."
No. And you're, real quick, you're referring to the buckle bomb where she landed on the bottom buckle, neck first?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, you're fine. Go ahead.
And as Nia's running, as she's moving towards the turnbuckle, you can hear Kairi saying, or at least I'm going to say it sounds like she's saying "I'm not set" multiple times, and the move still happens, and it almost is like the ref knew it was coming kind of thing, because he immediately goes down to check, because you can hear with no audience Kairi Sane clearly yelling something. It could be something that she's yelling in character about not wanting to get power bombed. I'm just saying, to me, that's an added element to this. I was pretty hard on Nia Jax when she broke the face of Becky Lynch, and I think the two of us both pulled back a little bit after a while, and we did realize that maybe not like I think diversity in the idea for the women's division that there needed to be a tough bruiser, and that would at least, if we're going to keep her around, this is going to help sell her character. But this is another one, and especially one of our favorites, and Kairi Sane, and
Right.
and this looking as bad as it is, and now her yelling, "I'm not set." I don't know, like all of this stuff starts to add up, and you start asking, like, what is too much? When is it too far? And we just had a bunch of people get fired that we don't know if they have the same track record maybe behind the scenes of unsafe wrestling, or is it always just who can get booed and who can get cheered, and I don't really care what happens in the ring. So yeah, it raises a lot of questions, I think, here. And is she an unsafe worker? I think we could well, maybe not finally, maybe we already did, but I think the label fits.
I mean, there's definitely some wrestlers who got away with that and made a heck of a career of it. I'm looking at somebody like Bill Goldberg, but like,
it's a great point.
Like it's I don't know if it adds a little something to the authenticity of the match. Like, she's not injuring on purpose, but when you're watching them, you're kind of like, wincing to see, who the next victim's going to be. But
right.
I think to just juxtapose it with another female wrestler who just came back, Tamina, the way she wrestles, it almost looks like she's watching Nia Jax tape and like wrestling timidly, where I can see her kind of take half steps of hesitation so she doesn't hurt her opponent. And I think that's to the detriment of her watchability for her matches, because they look like dances. They don't look like fights.
Right. I mean, I don't think anybody's been super high on Tamina for a while. That's an interesting one to bring up, because I guess in the realm of, like, do you want somebody to really go full bore, or do you want somebody to pull back? I think that just goes back to always talking about, well, no, there's always gray, right? We're not ever looking for black and white. We're not looking for which one do you prefer. We're saying, well, no, neither one is preferable. We want to have good TV, but we also want to make sure, with so many other people that are not constantly injuring others in the ring, that we focus on them and we reward them, and we stop giving chances to the people that are wrestling and performing unsafe, right?
Yeah. Again, I just want to, reiterate, you and I are not wrestlers. We don't actually know, as much as somebody who's actually been in the ring, but it just, with enough of the eyeball test, like, you have enough examples of people, somebody who wrestles strong, like Asuka. Nobody ever has commentary negative about her. Tons of people say they would, add her as their Mount, Rushmore of wrestling, that she's fantastic. So it's a skill. I don't know if we harp on it enough about, being safe and then still making it look real, where you're able to do both, make your offense look real. So I don't know if they're going to pull Nia aside, because for her to look like a monster, she's got to keep demolishing people who are, smaller than her. And that's, a lot of our favorites, the Kairis, the Alexas, et cetera. So I just wish we didn't have to. I wish, even if this is, like a kayfabe thing and they're trying to make Nia look more vicious, I just wish it didn't have to look like she was legitimately injuring our favorites, I don't know.
And this one's tough too, because we always have to say, like, there was no official statement that Kairi Sane was out. So
right.
This just goes to the point of, like, all right, let's discuss things that the wrestling world is talking about, and give our opinion. And I think it's like, all right, well, how many times are we going to keep talking about Nia Jax possibly or actually injuring someone? And
right.
Yeah, when do we?
Let's do this. We've used the word wrestling quite a few times in this podcast. Who knew? WWE, I think, for a long time, Matt, they're sports entertainment. Vince McMahon doesn't even let you say, the wrestlers out there. But I just think with COVID, it looks like they've really been doing some more experimenting. And I think NXT, we talked about it in weeks previous, where when you compare it to AEW, NXT is the wrestling show, AEW is the sports entertainment. But it kind of feels like recently on SmackDown and Raw, they're also turning into wrestling shows. And the magic of that is that Raw and SmackDown already have some of the most polished people on the planet. So we're getting treated to 8.5-star matches, for free on a Friday night or a Monday night. Yeah. So before we kind of, I'll give you the couple here, and I want to pick your brain, see which one is your favorite, but then also kind of see one more question after that. So we had like Buddy Murphy and Rey Mysterio. They were trying to get that Money in the Bank spot. That was a hell of a match. My God. Daniel Bryan versus Cesaro. And then, Matt, I like watching Naomi matches, and I think Dana Brooke's really getting good too, so I'm glad you threw that one in the list. But I guess of those three, pick your favorite one and why. And then I also wanted to know, does this make you want to watch more Raw and SmackDown, this format?
That's an interesting. So, okay, my favorite to watch was easily Daniel Bryan and Cesaro, because there's something about watching Daniel Bryan right now, and he just looks like he's having so much goddamn fun. I love it. I mean, it's not like the other guys look like they're not having fun. It's just the way that he's out there with Cesaro. It looks like this is what his dream is. Like, I want to go out there with my buddies who I used to fight alongside in Ring of Honor, and let's just tear it up. And they all get those huge WWE contracts. It's all about the wrestling. It's fun to watch because he's having so much fun. But I would be remiss if I didn't like. It did seem like, of course, and not to a negative way, but of course Naomi's going to beat Dana Brooke. So I was at least surprised, because Naomi doesn't lose anything with losing that match. I think she's still one of their high-profile talents, and she could be inserted into a title match at any time. But this, the Dana Brooke one was fun because they're actually built. There's think about what you just said. They have all these polished guys. They have all these names that are just ready to go. And of course, I think the opposite happened with Rey Mysterio and Buddy Murphy. But they're building this division of the women's division, and having Dana Brooke go over and putting her in this match. And she's not. She tries to sell a really dramatic story about perseverance whenever she's doing her promos. And honestly, I could do without it. But she's a solid ring worker, and it's just all right. Yeah, let's give somebody else a shot and see what happens. And it, at least in the sense too, like we're putting them in a Money in the Bank match, so maybe Naomi gets to be safe now, so she's not getting super hurt. But that's another conversation for another day. But Mike, I think then you want to pick your favorite that isn't on the list that I provided.
That Daniel Bryan Cesaro match, I watched every second of that, and it was stunning in that it wasn't even the main event of that episode of SmackDown. It got about almost 20 minutes of these two guys, fighting for their Money in the Bank spot.
I will say I fought pretty hard not putting Big E winning because I love watching Big E win, but I was still kind of sad because I wanted to see Big E win Money in the Bank, and I feel like this pulls him away from that. But go ahead.
I know. I don't think it's going to happen until, Kofi hangs him up or something like that. But the other match I just wanted to throw in there because we had to see another one of Paul Heyman's boys, Austin Theory, who tried to injure my beloved Montez a couple weeks ago, but, water under the bridge. Montez is okay. And they redid the spot at WrestleMania. Everything's fine. Anyway, Austin Theory, he looks like their new Randy Orton pet project. The dude's 22. He's, chiseled, great wrestler. We haven't really had a real chance to learn about him on the microphone yet. But he and Aleister Black got to, have a really good match too for Money in the Bank spot. And, Black's just been on fire. I don't think he's had a garbage match yet. And, when you talk about somebody who wrestles violent but safe, I think Aleister is at the top of that list because I would be astounded to talk to Stone Cold Steve Austin, ask his opinion on Aleister Black, and not hear something positive, because Black just really knows how to lay in the strikes, make them look real, and he knows how to sell for the other guy. I think he's just hitting on all cylinders right now, and it's just a matter of time till that guy's a champion, because he's got the vernacular, he's got the mic acumen, and it's really a treat to just watch him fight for 15 to 20 minutes. So the only thing holding him back is he hasn't really had a juicy storyline to chew on.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like they don't know what to do. Like, they don't want to push him too much. That's kind of what it feels like. So they've given him, arm's length, like, to get close, but not quite to the point where he's, a champion, or he's, main eventing. So I think they see they have something there, but I don't know, maybe they're just waiting to pull the trigger on him having some sort of belt.
What I mean, what's funny, I don't know if you have ever heard like the stories about when the Beatles were first coming out, like they had videos of like women getting excited to see them, and then that was part of the marketing to have once they were coming over to the States, and everybody was more excited to see the Beatles because they had all this video of women that were paid to actually cheer for the Beatles and go crazy and everything. Something like the film that came out for the Beatles. I don't know how anybody isn't sold on an Aleister Black match when Zelina Vega is sitting there getting all juiced up in commentary while she's watching her husband beat the shit out of Austin Theory. That was hilarious. Because, everybody had that thought. The second you saw it, she's like biting her lip.
Yeah.
It's Aleister Black is winning. You're just like, all right, well, yeah, exactly. She's like, oh man, that's my man.
Hey, keep it professional, Zelina. You're my manager.
Yeah, and it was interesting too to actually see them interact mid-match. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I think you and I bring it up all the time that why the hell isn't she just managing Aleister?
It's just he doesn't need it,
right? But there's still like the real life element, and it's like. For that trio, the Zelina Vega trio, if they start going up against Aleister on a weekly basis, it's gonna take you out of it for a second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like stuff like that gets addressed in films that doesn't need to be addressed, but like they try and make human relationships actually make sense. And to think that the WWE is going to be so stubborn is to say, nope, I don't care if they're married. Look at what Zelina Vega looks like. Pair her with those three, or I guess more importantly.
Yeah, I think that's a complaint we've had a few times. Is they just use like the paint splotches, to put like people together.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to credit WWE for like when Seth Rollins did his Monday Night Messiah thing, and then he found a way to get AOP and keep Buddy on TV. So Zelina, she's so damn good on the mic. We've talked about guys who are our favorites, and just give them a mouthpiece. We do it for Brock, and we make exceptions for other guys. And they're doing it. Like Andrade, I don't know if he just is determined not to speak English, but all his promos are in Spanish, so he needs Zelina there. And she's there for him all the time. Angel Garza as well. Austin Theory, who, I don't really know who he is, but if Zelina's managing him, like, he has more credibility because she's so good at her job. So for them to suddenly create, this weirdly credible three-man stable just came out of nowhere. Just plucked a couple guys from NXT who showed a little bit of charisma. I think it's worth mentioning. WWE has successes like that, so it's inspirational. It makes me want to watch more of the show. So I don't know. That's the end of that thought.
Yeah, period. I don't hate it. Cool. So do we want to talk about the other, I guess, relationships going into story, right?
Yeah, because as far as like, we mentioned at the top of the show, like maybe a non-title storyline. So I kind of like Zelina being in the ear, being a thorn in the butt, I think is what McIntyre called Zelina, which is pretty funny. But man, the storyline that's just captured the imagination of the entire WWE universe. It's the one with Mandy and Otis.
Yeah, it's honestly like nothing is more soap opera-y than this feud. But I not only watch it and then I go back and watch it again when I have an opportunity. I was really tickled too to find out that it was Mandy who kind of approached, or at least the rumor is that she approached Vince McMahon with this idea. And why I was tickled was two reasons. I thought that was kind of sweet that she wanted to get Otis over. But number two, it was like she may have thought of it while Otis was creeping on her on Instagram, and she's like, "Oh my God, this fucking guy again is on my Instagram commenting that I'm his sweet." Oh, it's disgusting.
I'm his
Look
peach.
at him.
I'm a person.
He eats chicken like a gremlin from Gremlins. It's hideous. He's
I don't want to feed him after midnight. I don't want to feed him before midnight. I don't want to hear those eating sounds anymore. Oh yeah, ticky. And now,
oh God. And now they're doing photo shoots together, like on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Or at least the one photo
they're
shoot.
both showing off their glutes.
Content.
Yeah, I like that one. But you know, you and I loved Otis when he was in. I almost said when he was in Heavy Machinery, because poor Tucky, I think, is going to be gone.
We talked about that a while ago.
I know.
One day, Tucky is going to have to say goodbye to this tag team.
I know. Well, just when they were in NXT, when we saw them at live shows, they just won over the whole crowd, the stakes and weights, all that nonsense. And we kind of cringed the way, like you said, Otis would talk about Mandy. But Mandy herself said, you know, he talked about me a lot in NXT, but in a cute way, not a creepy way. So I guess it's okay. I always got a little concerned when I'd see her replies on Instagram to whatever pervy thing he was saying.
Yeah.
And it was always just like eyes going like this.
Unless this was something that they've been trying to sell.
What a work. My God.
Yeah,
we were scared on Mandy's behalf for like 2.5 years.
Did you ever hear about like CM Punk and Mankind having like, or Mick Foley having like online disputes because one day they were going to fight together or fight against each other? And that was like supposed to be years in the making. Like this is that level of like getting stuff together. I actually, you know what, I might be wrong with the CM Punk and maybe it was Daniel Bryan. I don't know. Anyway, it was something like that. Oh God, I feel like
it must still be coming. Yeah,
yeah, it's still working. I love that storyline, Mike. I hope I get more of it. One thing, you know, I didn't even put on the list here, and we got into a pretty heavy argument. So if you guys want to hear it, head over to episode 126. You can also go to IGTV, like I mentioned before, brothers_of_discussion. And I isolated the entire argument for a single discussion.
Nice.
So if you want to hear that, head on over to IGTV and you can see it and hear it. But the WWE did do something that I guess akin to the Firefly Funhouse. We're going to get a Money in the Bank match that's going to go through an entire building. Much like the Call of Duty Warzone that you and I have been playing on a nightly basis. These guys, I hope that there's somebody playing hide and seek. I hope that there's somebody that's just running roughshod from floor to floor.
I hope, please let there be a gulag. That's all I want.
You get to come back into the match. I love this idea so much, and I honestly, I can't wait. They're going to have so much time to film this. Mike, this will be the first Money in the Bank where it's not going to have an awkward finish. How amazing is that?
Yeah.
Where there's the guy who's like maybe waited too long or maybe not even waited too long before they climb the ladder. We won't have that, like, they're looking around, seeing if anybody's there, then grabbing it. We also won't have the false finish of somebody about to grab it, and they're actually waiting for somebody to come grab them off the ladder. So then we're like, just grab it. Just grab it. You're right there. You're a foot away. Like, totally takes you out of the believability of that match.
Yeah.
And now, because they're doing this, because of COVID, we're going to get a Money in the Bank match that will finally make sense. And I'm probably very, I'm in the minority of people that looks at the end of these Money in the Bank matches and it's always cringy for me. It's always eye roll where you're like, wow, that doesn't make any sense. You're a grown man. Go up to the top of the ladder and grab the damn thing. Stop. I don't know. But if it doesn't take you out of it, I get it. Like, we do have to just kind of accept that it is performance art. But to the end that I'm not going to have to worry about this year, or I better not have to, I'm really excited.
I think what I'm most excited about is, yes, I'm pumped that they can kind of adjust the finish, like if there's a botch or something like that. But what I'm excited about is this is their second pay-per-view with no crowd. So what I'm hoping we get is, like they learned their lessons from the first one, and like that Edge and Orton match that, probably went 15 minutes too long. And there was
5-minute Money in the Bank. I like it.
We got to get that sizzle reel out there. All right, come on.
What if, before you finish, what if it was they start in the parking lot and it's really just a sprint to the top and they all forget to wrestle? I just I would have fun watching that too.
Well, I was just gonna say, oh man, I lost it. Now that it's our second iteration of this crowdless pay-per-view, we know how to cut the time. We know what's a good a slightly shorter than we're used to match where there's no crowd pandering and you can just, start moving on to the next spot. But now maybe they'll be able to avoid those instances where we're getting close-ups of people making orgasmic grunts for way too often, way too loud. So I think the pacing's going to be really good. And hopefully that sound experience for the viewer at home is not going to be as uncomfortable where you don't want to watch it like around your parents because it sounds like porn.
Right. Turn it down.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Matt, how are we doing on time? Because I know we got one more thing we want to cover.
We're at 42 minutes right now, so let's
We split up. What was a Wednesday night slaughter for I don't know 8-10 weeks in a row, something like that.
Yeah.
AEW is dominating, and now it seems like NXT's coming back. So let's do the top 3 moments from each show. Matt, I'm going to go ahead and take moment number 3 here for NXT. I was the NXT correspondent this week. Matt, give me Shotzi, Blackheart, and Tegan Nox in defeat, looking like the stars of the women's division in NXT. I think we were all a little curious. What's going to happen with Rhea Ripley? What's going to happen with Bianca? What's going to happen with Shayna? Those are like the pillars, the building blocks of this division. And now they're all kind of floating around. Bianca's kind of called up. Shayna's kind of called up. Rhea's MIA. I don't know where she is on Earth, to tell you the truth. And we didn't really know how the division would get by without them. But I think that Shotzi coming out with the charisma, rolling out in the tank, and when she gets to the ring, she crashes the tank into the steel stairs. I think that the division needed somebody like that. I think the closest comparison right now is Nikki Cross, who had a hilarious video with her birthday cake, smashing it in her own face.
Yeah.
It's the perfect dose of WWE humor. But with somebody selling it hard enough that it actually is pretty funny. So I think Shotzi doing that, just gobbling up that camera, every little opportunity she gets. And then Tegan, she looks like she's going to be, one of the just cream of the crop wrestlers. Like she wrestles like a female Roddy Strong. And that's for me, a pretty high compliment. That's how good her strikes look. That's how good her high flying offense looks. And even in defeat, it didn't even feel like it. This felt like a showcase for those 2 women.
Well, my number 3 for AEW. Oh, you know what? I do want to ask. How much would you put into the idea that we know the cruiserweight title is getting the quick tournament because of the the flight regulations right now? Yeah. How much would you put any credence into the idea that Rhea Ripley lost at WrestleMania because she was going to be in Australia with her family?
I mean, that's kind of the narrative that's been, sold, online if you read the blogs and the Twitter sphere. I think her defeat just kind of came out of nowhere, and I don't know if there wasn't any proof really that Charlotte's name being announced as an NXT roster member was really blowing the viewership numbers, skewing them NXT's way.
Yeah.
So I have to think there's some thread of accuracy with that statement, because Rhea being arguably the best wrestler on NXT and just being gone, I think maybe they just didn't know how long she was going to be gone. And so if Paul Heyman's saying I want Bianca, if Shayna has accomplished everything she's already accomplished everything you possibly could in NXT. There's no point to keep her down there. Those two women are gone. Rhea would have, it was the banner image on our discussion group was her, being up on the shoulders of the entire NXT roster for triumphing as the champion. I don't think they wanted to flush that down the toilet. I think they really value her as an asset. So I have to think that those things, even if that is, two rumors and a lie, that's a rumor with some real smoke to it, to borrow the Street Profits catchphrase. So I think that there's some real credence.
Yeah, I agree. I think there is something there. So my number 3, and a quick shout out to Angel and Kenny Omega putting on an okay match, but it also kind of felt like it should have been a squash. My number 3, though, is number 3 because I felt like there should have been, it should have felt like there was a real possibility of Dustin ending his career last night. And it really didn't feel that way because he put his career on the line against Kip Sabian. He gets the win. A little bit of maybe not a schmaz, but just the ladies getting involved at the end of Dustin and Kip's match. And I enjoyed it. I just wish, when it was set up as the main event, I really thought we were going to be teased, this is the end for Dustin. But even when he won, he kind of looked like, and I don't think this is part of the story. I think it was just he's tired and he's old. But he didn't come out of it like, yeah! I'm really
like he just saved his career.
Yeah, he kind of just was like, and then he gave a high five to Brandy, and then they signed off. And it was like, wait, did that even matter to him? Did he not?
Yeah, you didn't watch Ric Flair fighting, God, I don't know. Was it MVP? He fought tons of guys, right. But pay-per-view to pay-per-view, building up to WrestleMania, he still was like, yeah. I'm kind of still in the face when Shawn Michaels loved him and kicked him, but yeah, that kind of attitude, that kind of countenance, if you will. I kind of see where you're coming from there, and I think it's because there's no build-up to it. If anyone thought Dustin was going out like that, shame on you.
It could just be he doesn't want to go up against Lance Archer, but we'll find out how brutal that one's going to be. I think in a couple weeks.
Lance Archer might just actually retire him. Physically break him in half, Bane right. Style, smash him over the knee.
Yeah, that one's out of his hands. Mike, your number 2.
Number 2, there's a lot of good wrestling on NXT, but my number 2 moment was kind of a character reboot here for Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano, who cut a promo at their dinner table. And if you've ever seen Beauty and the Beast, you remember there's that glass, is it a decanter? Where the Beast's rose was in there and the petals would drop, as he lost opportunities to fall in love or else he's going to be a beast forever. Mm-hmm. So picture that. But Gargano had his groin cup in a glass case. The one that he used to defeat Tommaso Ciampa at their last match, their send-off match. And they basically said, they're eating dinner, and they said, we're not going to be these ambassadors anymore. It's not fruitful for us to be NXT ambassadors anymore. We're going to eat first. We're going to stop being company people. We're going to eat first. And then they literally ate some food. Candice, it looked like a pretty good spread. I think there was some sort of salmon and a salad. Looked pretty solid. But I do want to say that, Matt, as good as this promo was, as hilarious as it was to see Gargano's cup as the centerpiece of this meal they were having, We just saw Brody Lee cut this promo like a week ago where he said, "I eat first," and then he ate a steak, Vince McMahon style. So
yeah, when you said that to me, like you before I got a chance to watch it, you mentioned it, and I was kind of like, well, that's
so
a bummer.
It's moment too because the way they cut it visually, you know, was a little experimental for WWE and especially for NXT, who's been doing these, you know, awful like handheld camera interviews for weeks. It seems with no inspiration behind them. But this was creative, but then. Was it that creative? If they're just stealing Brody Lee's idea. But Matt,
where did I get that idea from? It's gold, Johnny. Roll with it.
So all right, so my number to Brody Lee. Yeah, your number two.
My number two. I'm going to run it pretty quick here, Mike. We're running out of time, but I'm going this with my number two because it was a great match, but I didn't agree with who won. It's Darby Allin going over Sammy, and
that was a really good match.
It just made more sense for Cody Rhodes to go up against Sammy instead of Darby Allin and to kind of have it fall in line. Like I don't know, that part didn't make sense. And now Darby Allin, I think, has 3 wins over Sammy, and it would have made sense because they even had Sammy cheat at the beginning of the match. So we could have at least looked back at it and said, well, that's why Sammy won, was because he cheated at the beginning of the match. So not only is he just falling in this deep hole against Darby Allin, he also cheated to try and win, and that failed. So it's almost like this.
What's he got to do?
Could end right.
It's but so one-sided.
And they have such great chemistry, and that's why it just kind of doesn't make sense that Sammy just keeps losing. So I'd like to see, or maybe now it's just 0-2. But I'd like to see that go the other way. But that's why it's my number 2. Mike, your number 1 moment.
Number 1 moment, pretty easy to call this one. It was Drake Maverick's match against Jake Atlas.
Fantastic.
As far as an NXT match goes, they've had championship matches, you know, in the past in the recent past to try and beat AEW, and they always just felt kind of like showcases to make me tune into NXT. This was the first time in a while, like my heart was in my throat. Right? I was like, "Come on, Drake! Come on, man! Just win this last match!" You know.
Like everything I wanted for the Dustin Rhodes career on the line.
Yeah, like Drake had that emotion that you wanted to see come out of Dustin, who was in a retirement match, kind of. Who knows if that was even true? It was just Jericho mentioned it like once. But Drake Maverick wrestled his nuts off. All 5'5", 160 pounds of him. And Jake Atlas, he didn't win on anything cheap. He did a fucking handstand on the top rope, a spinning handstand on the top rope, and twirled it into a tornado DDT. There aren't a lot of guys who would hit that move. I remember we used to get excited about The Undertaker walking upright on the top rope. Jake Atlas fucking cartwheeled. He didn't cartwheel, Matt. He fucking cartwheeled and turned into a swinging tornado DDT.
Yeah.
But it's not the end for Drake. It's going to be some cumulative win-loss that ends up crowning our cruiserweight champion, but really baffling to only push him at the end of his career and use him to job out for other guys. It's just, we could have been watching him wrestle the whole time, and instead we're waiting until he's getting cut. So now, Matt, the rumors are out there. Is he actually being released? He's put on a hell of an acting show, crying in this video that went viral. And then after this match, when he lost, he was, you couldn't console him. He's inconsolable. I couldn't think of that word, so I had to use not consolable. He was inconsolable, heartbroken that he lost, and I think he's really got the crowd like this. So if WWE is actually letting him go, this is a real gift to let him showcase his selling and mic work. So we got to see how this plays out, but it looks positive for Drake, or Spud, as he might be going forward. Matt,
and real quick, Atlas should tag team with Tony Nese after all this, and it'll be managed by Tony Atlas, just to get him back, get him some work again. I want to see Tony Nese and Atlas form a tag. All right, I got to wrap this up real quick. My number 1 is MJF letting us know about his life-threatening injury, which the hangnail, I can't imagine how painful that is. But it is keeping MJF
it would put me
off
on the
TV. And the accompanying match of Wardlow in the squash, man, that guy looks so goddamn strong. And you got back-to-back squashes, so quick shout-out to Brody Lee getting another murder, and it looks like he's going to murder Marco Stunt next week. But number one easily is MJF's promo. He's not even close to the arena, and that damn hangnail, I hope he's okay. And what's great, too, is I saw people posting on Twitter the tease for this promo. So this came out on Tuesday, was the tease, and people were like, oh, man, he must really be hurt because he broke like he wasn't MJF in his tease. He was really concerned, telling people to tune in. He's going to give more information about it. And God, that guy is just pro wrestling gold. Like, the fact that you had those bullshit websites and Twitter accounts that always tweet out bullshit and trying to say, like, MJF actually hurt. And then we come to it and we see this huge cast, and then it ends on his pinky where he's got his hangnail. Oh my God. Just like, fuck those accounts. I loved it. But yeah, that's Mike, we got to wrap up here. I think I only have like a minute to wrap it up in time.
Wrap it up.
But everybody, please subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. Greatly appreciate it. Head on over to bodpodcast.com and brothersofdiscussion.com. Remember, at the top bar, there's going to be a link for you to click if you are in need of some CBD products, because you can get a discount. Buy two, get one free. Actually, I didn't state this before. Use the code BOD Podcast. That's BOD Podcast. You get one free product if you buy two. Huge discount there for you. So support the show. Head on over to that link. And also find us at BOD Podcast, and find us on Instagram at brothers_of_discussion. And we are on YouTube as the Brothers of Discussion as well. Check out the channel, subscribe there, and you can see these videos. You can see us making funny faces like that. So everybody, thank you for tuning in this week. Greatly appreciate it. And we will see you next Thursday.
Oh yeah!